So someone asked about what is the PPRF, and a PPRF is exactly these letters. It is Parapontine, which means it's in the pons, reticular, which means it's net-like, and formation, which means it's a bunch of neurons. So the PPRF is the parapontine reticular formation. It lives in the pons, and it lives in the dorsal part of the pons. So if we've got our little pons here, we know that all the oculomotor action is in the dorsal part of the pons. And the dorsal pons is in charge of horizontal gaze. And the final common pathway for horizontal gaze is the sixth nerve nucleus. However, it also receives input from the vestibular nuclei for the vestibular ocular reflex, and it's a collection of horizontal nuclei that include the sixth nerve nucleus and the parapontine reticular formation that is receiving the supranuclear input from the frontal eye fields for saccades, contralateral, and from the ipsilateral parietal lobe for pursuit. So both the cortex from the ipsilateral parietal occipital temporal region and the contralateral frontal eye field converge on the pons to tell your eyes to look right and left. The difference between parapontine reticular formation and sixth nerve nucleus clinically is none, because they're so close together, you're not going to be able to figure this out. However, when you have dissociation between a saccade and a pursuit horizontally, that is much more likely to be parapontine reticular formation, because that cannot occur at the level of the sixth nerve nucleus in the pons. So that just implies it's pre-nuclear input if you have that kind of dissociation. The sixth nerve nucleus, as you know, talks directly to the third nerve nucleus on the contralateral side via the medial longitudinal fasciculus. And so that's how the sixth nerve nucleus talks to the contralateral third via the MLF. And so if you get a lesion either in the parapontine reticular formation or the sixth nerve nucleus, you get a horizontal gaze palsy. So PPRF and sixth nerve nucleus both live in dorsal pons. They're both in charge of horizontal gaze. If you ding them out, you get horizontal gaze palsy. Hard to tell them apart because they're so close together. But if you have dissociation between the saccade and the pursuit, or dissociation between the vestibular input from the vestibular ocular reflex, that cannot be from damage to the sixth nerve nucleus, which is the final common pathway for horizontal gaze. It has to be pre-nuclear, and that is about the only way you're going to be able to tell the difference between these two, PPRF and sixth nerve nucleus.